Three safety net gaps that silently drain your financial security every month. The people who call in completely blindsided, the ones who built the savings, maintained the insurance, followed the plan, almost never made one catastrophic mistake. They did most things right. What they discovered too late is that the financial safety net they built had holes in it. Not obvious holes. Not holes that showed up on any statement or triggered any alert. Holes that are nearly invisible from above. You only see them from below. Here's what makes that dangerous. Three specific gaps exist in how most Americans structure their financial protection, gaps that don't require you to do anything wrong to widen. They grow through inertia alone. Every month they go unaddressed, the distance between your actual exposure and your documented protection quietly expands. And the month they finally become visible is almost always the month you can no longer close them. Today we're addressing all three before that month arrives. Think about a safety net stretched beneath a high wire. From above it looks complete. Every strand appears to be in place. And for most of what life throws at you, the ordinary stumbles, the recoverable setbacks, it holds just fine. But a safety net isn't tested by ordinary stumbles. It's tested by the fall you didn't plan for. And three specific types of holes have a way of forming in nearly every net, regardless of how carefully it was built. Not because you were negligent, because of how the net was designed in the first place. The first gap is something financial planners call income concentration risk. And it's the structural flaw that almost no one addresses in personal financial security planning. Here's the design problem stated plainly. Your entire financial safety net is almost certainly built on a single assumption, that your income continues. The emergency fund, it's a buffer against a temporary disruption to that income. The health coverage, almost certainly tied to that employment. The retirement contributions that are building your long-term security, funded by that income. The mortgage payments protecting the home equity you're counting on, same source. This isn't a problem until the moment it becomes every problem at once. Job loss for most Americans isn't just a pay disruption. It's income gone, health coverage gone, retirement contributions stopped, and the emergency fund clock, the countdown to what happens when the liquid savings run out, ticking simultaneously from day one. 3 to 6 months in an emergency fund covers a short disruption. It was never designed to carry the full weight of every system that concentrates on a single income stream. Sit with this question. If your primary income stopped today, how many separate systems in your financial life would fail at the same time? If the answer is more than one, and for most people it's far more than one, you have income concentration risk. And it's not addressed by the savings you already have. The fix isn't earning more, it's mapping the concentration and separating the exposure. Disability income coverage, a genuine secondary income layer, business income protection if you're self-employed. The specific solution depends on your structure, but the first step is always the same: stop treating continuous employment as a financial plan. Now here's where the thinking has to shift, and this is the part that changes how most people understand financial security. You may have built real savings, years of discipline, a number you're proud of. But savings that exist in the wrong format don't function as financial security. They function as financial potential. And that distinction matters more than almost anything else in this conversation. A retirement account with 6 figures in it is real wealth. But if accessing it before age 59.5 triggers taxes and a 10% penalty, that account is not available to you the way security requires. It's positioned for the wrong crisis. It's on the wrong shelf. Same with home equity. A paid-down mortgage is a powerful long-term asset, but equity doesn't pay a medical bill in 30 days. It doesn't cover expenses when revenue drops. Accessing it requires an appraisal, an application, an approval process, time you may not have when the situation is real. The wrong shelf problem looks like this. Someone who has built genuine assets, genuine savings, genuine discipline across years, who still faces a real emergency with no accessible liquidity, because everything they built is locked, committed, or penalized at the exact moment they need it. The question isn't how much you've saved. It's how much of what you've saved can you actually reach, without penalty, without delay, without selling at the wrong moment, within 72 hours. That number is your real financial security cushion. For most people, it's meaningfully smaller than they assume. And closing this gap doesn't require more money. It requires moving a portion of what already exists to the right shelf: a high-yield savings account, a money market account, a taxable brokerage with stable, liquid holdings. That specific bucket is your security. Everything else is potential. And here is where these gaps become something more than 3 separate problems, because they don't stay separate. Imagine income stops. You turn to your savings. But the savings are on the wrong shelf, locked in retirement accounts, committed to a home you can't quickly liquidate. So now you're facing a decision: absorb the taxes and the penalty to access your own money before it's time, or stretch the liquid emergency fund further than it was designed to go. While you're navigating that pressure, quietly, in the background, the third gap has been widening on its own for years. Insurance feels permanent. You paid for it, it's in force, the card is in your wallet, it exists. But insurance doesn't protect your current life. It protects the life you had when you last calibrated it. Think about what may have changed since you last reviewed your coverage. Your income higher now probably, which means income replacement needs are higher too. Your assets, more of them, potentially including business interests or investment accounts that didn't exist before. Your family structure, a new dependent, a different set of obligations, a changed exposure. The policy is the same, your life isn't. This is the insurance coverage gap that most people carry without knowing it, not fraudulent coverage, not a scam, just coverage that has quietly, gradually stopped fitting. A policy calibrated for who you were 3 years ago, still technically in force, functionally misaligned with the life it's supposed to protect. And what makes it compound dangerously with the other two gaps? The moment you actually need coverage, the serious illness, the disability, the income disruption from a health event, that is not the moment you can conduct a review. You're already falling. The net is already being tested. Here's what's true about all three of these gaps, and this is the part worth sitting with. They are not money problems. Every single one of them is a review problem. You don't fix income concentration risk by earning more. You fix it by mapping which systems in your life fail simultaneously when income stops and deliberately separating them. Disability coverage, secondary income, business income protection. The structure depends on your situation, but the audit is always the starting point. You don't fix the wrong shelf problem by accumulating more savings. You fix it by identifying exactly how much of what you have is genuinely accessible within 72 hours without penalty, and making sure that number matches your real emergency exposure. One focused review, one account adjustment, one allocation decision. You don't fix the insurance coverage gap by buying more coverage. You fix it by reviewing your existing coverage against your current income, your current assets, your current family structure. If any of those have changed meaningfully since your last review, and they almost certainly have, your coverage has a gap. That review takes an afternoon. All three gaps are addressable in a single structured afternoon. Not with a financial advisor necessarily, not with a complicated spreadsheet, just with the right questions applied to the right numbers about the right coverage. The financial safety net that actually holds when it's tested looks different from the one most people build. It's not about the size of the number. It's about the accessibility of the liquidity, the separation of the risk concentration, and the calibration of the coverage to the actual life being lived right now. When these three gaps are closed, something changes that's harder to quantify than a dollar figure, but more valuable than one. The distance between you and financial catastrophe becomes structural, not circumstantial. You're not hoping the income continues. You're not assuming the savings are reachable. You're not relying on coverage designed for someone with your name 3 years ago. The net is complete or close enough to hold. One final thought, and this matters more than it might seem. Everything we covered today is the structural layer of financial security, but there's a behavioral layer beneath it that determines whether any of this holds under real pressure. How decisions actually get made when income stops. What psychology does to a rational financial plan when the crisis is not hypothetical. The structural layer without the behavioral layer is still a net with holes. That's a different conversation, but if you're building protection that actually holds when it counts, it's the conversation that comes next.